Good afternoon, everybody. Today we are going to be making a really lovely soap. I've been wanting to do my version of, your typical milk and honey oat sort of soap. And of course, my soaps are vegan, so I can't put honey in that or something that is going to be an animal product. So I've come up with a new version for myself. So I'll show you all of my products. So we have some gorgeous kaolin clay, and inside my cute little heart little cup, I do have some beautiful coconut milk in there. So of course that's vegan because it's coconut, and then I have some lovely oats in here that we're going to grind up, and that's going to be the base of my soap. Now today I'm using some butters that are a little bit different. I'm using some cocoa butter. I'm also using our typical coconut oil. We definitely need that. It really does help with the soap. It's a beautiful soap once you actually have that in there. And of course I have a little bit of mango butter as well. So no shea in this one. So this is going to be, like I said, my version of this. We are not going to use a color in it, and we're also not going to be using a scent in it. Now the reason for that is I do get asked quite often with, to have no scent, and the coconut is going to just give a very, very slight coconutty kind of scent. But like I said, it's not going to be, a super strong one, because of course it doesn't have fragrance and it doesn't have essential oils. But I will be coming out with a range of essential oil soaps. I've been asked for almost 2 years for them. So I thought, look, I need to get going, and I'm going to make lots of soap, and then we're going to just cure it, and hopefully I can afford to get the boxes in time. So if you want to join my channel, make sure you do, and make sure you push that like button. That really does help me. Subscribe if you would like to see more videos. I always give all the information that I can, and I do answer every question. So ask me a question if there's something that you need to know about soap making, and I'll do my best to answer that. Of course, you can also join me over on Patreon, and we have lots of fun over there, and there is recipes every week that you can join, unlock, and use. But let's get going with this gorgeous soap, and I'll show you what I'm doing. Now this batch is going to be a 1,100 gram batch. Now the reason for that is I've been doing a bit of testing in my test mold, and this is my test mold. I know you can't see it super well. Let me see if I can move the camera back a bit. But anyway, it's just a slim one. It's a 30 centimeter long one by about 5.2 centimeters in width, I think. And I will show you one of the bars I've made from a different batch so that you can see. So now, like I said, we do have some gorgeous white kaolin clay, so we're going to add that in. Kaolin clay is just a really lovely mix, and it's going to help sort of keep this a bit white, because I am going to be using some avocado oil, and of course that's a greeny kind of color, but it doesn't matter if it's not totally white. Now inside here I do have my butters and everything inside here. So I do have the coconut oil. I also do have cocoa butter in this beautiful mix, and then some gorgeous mango butter as well. And there's only a small amount of the mango and cocoa, I think 5% of each, just to keep the price down of the soap, because we don't want to be charging somebody $18 a bar of soap. Nobody wants to pay that, although I have seen bars for that price. So now inside here I do have some beautiful oats. These are just natural oats, and what we're going to do is we are going to actually crush them down, so they're going to go into the soap and give a little bit of an exfoliation to this soap. Just a very slight one, because I'm going to grind these right down, and then I do have some more just to add a tiny little bit on top. When you're adding things on top of a soap, just make sure you're really sparing, because no one wants to be picking that off for hours. And to decorate it, we have this. Now this is a silicone lining. I've just cut it around this shape that I wanted, because it come in a double shape, and this is going to go in the edge of the mold, and I will show you how we're going to do this as well. Now this is the cold process method that we're going to be using today. So let's get going. The first thing to do is grind down this. So like I said, in here we do have our gorgeous oats in there. So let's get going, and we will make the rest of this soap. Start again. Now, if you get a different stick blender, like I have, this is a Braun. I have had this for years. It was about $99. It came with all these attachments. Super duper cheap. In the future, I do want a KitchenAid, but this has been my best friend for a very long time. It has made me absolutely thousands and thousands of bars of soap. So you don't need to buy the best quality one to be able to make soap. And all it does is it just attaches to this in here, and inside here it does have a little blade that comes inside there. And then all we're going to do is literally just simple like that, give it a few bursts. So let's just give it a few bursts and make it gorgeous. Now, I thought I would show you. If you can see, it is very, very crushed. It is not a heavy oat at all. It's just very, very light. It's almost like a thick powder. It's kind of like flour, I guess, like a bit like a softer wholemeal flour. So that's what it is. And then this is the little blade that comes inside, and you just take this out and clean it after each time. And so this is all ready and looking gorgeous, isn't it? So we're just going to set that aside. We don't need that right now. We're not going to use that straight away, and we'll set the kaolin clay aside. I'm going to add that with the oils that we will measure in just a moment, and we'll put this away. We don't need that one anymore. And then of course we're going to use this later, so I'm going to set this one aside. Now in here, what we want to do is I want to just measure up the other oils that I need. So we'll take this over to the scale and measure this up. So for this recipe, I'm going to be adding this in, which is my avocado oil. I'll just show you. I've just got this from the local shop. It is a cold pressed avocado oil. I will be buying this in bulk from Essentials. I just haven't gone over there yet. Now, I only need to use about 7% in here, so not a lot, but this really will help to create a beautiful creamy bar. This really does add luxury. I know it is much more expensive than a lot of the other oils, but you will thank yourself once you've used this. I have used this quite a bit. So when I first started making soap, I used it a lot, and then I just didn't. I changed my recipe a bit, but I've decided that I really want to bring a lot of natural kind of recipes to it, because I've been asked so much over the last couple of years to create some more natural soaps with no fragrance oil. So of course I will still have some fragrance oil ones, but I will also be doing a line of natural ones and see how we go, because I do think the core thing that I sell is soap. A lot of people do love a really nice bar of soap. So anyway, like I said, we've got that in there, haven't we? So that's gorgeous. Now we're going to add some castor oil in. Now I'm just adding a small percent in. I think I may have to go back into my storeroom to get some more, because I only have a tiny bit of castor oil in this bottle here. It's probably not even a couple grams. So I'm thinking I'm going to have to just go back in and get the big bottle. I have ordered another 5 litres, which is inside. So I might just go and get that, and I'll be back in a moment. Now we're going to add this beautiful Spanish olive oil into here. And in my recipe, I'm only using 45% of olive oil. So we'll just tear all of that out. Make sure you tear it out. And don't forget. Now, if you add high amounts of olive oil, it can make your soap squishy. So even though it may feel hard when it's in the shower, it may not last as long, and it will be a little bit more squishy. So that's the thing. You kind of want a recipe to bring down some of those olive oils. A lot of my soaps that I've made are high in olive oil, which is okay, but we want to try and bring it down just a little bit. And you can sort of make your coconut oil go higher, even though it may be higher than 20%. That's okay, because things like avocado oil have more fats in it, so that will counteract the cleansing in that. So there's lots of things, and it is really such a science working with all these oils and seeing what oil works with what. So we will just continue adding the last bit in, and I have to be slow because I don't want to add too much. You can add this separately into separate jars if you want. I generally just add it all in here because I've been making soap for quite some time, and you just get used to it. All right, that's it. So we have actually made that in here. So now what I'm going to do for this is I've got my kaolin clay. I'm going to add this to the oils, even though I am not going to be using this recipe for a couple hours because I need to make the lye and I need to heat up the oils and set it aside and just leave it. So what I like to do with this is get the stick blender, just blend that in and just leave it. That way the oil is going to absorb this beautiful kaolin clay. So now we are just mixing it up. Now there is no lye in here at all. I have literally just mixing up a little bit of the oils, and this is yet another test batch, and I'm pretty sure this is going to turn out absolutely gorgeous. So like I said, everything is sitting in here. So I'm going to organize the lye. Of course I had to put some gloves and glasses and all of that on to do that, and then I'll bring it back because it's a bit boring to watch. But if you have never made soap, please go back and look at, there's lots of videos on YouTube all about lye safety and things that you should do with lye. So it protects your eyes, my friends, and your hands because it is a caustic material. Of course, once the soap has solidified and you know it's hard and it's ready and you take it out the mold, it's fine to handle the soap. So here, remember, we have our coconut milk or coconut cream here. I'm going to add this later, so I don't want to put that in there yet because it can make everything very thick, and we don't want the lye being mixed with this. So that's why I've taken this out. So this is a part of the water portion, and I have subtracted the water portion 50 grams out, and then there's 50 grams of this. But if I put this with the lye, it would probably scorch it and smell not very beautiful. So that's why we're going to add that in a little bit later. So anyway, like I said, we're going to leave this here. I'm going to melt down everything else, organize the lye, and then I'll come back in a couple hours. All right, everyone, we are back. So in here I do have my absolutely beautiful oils. I have added into my melted oils, as well as, you know, obviously the olive oil and everything else that we measured up before. So all the oils are in here. All we need to do is add the lye, and we need to, of course, add our coconut milk, and then we are going to add our beautiful you know, our crushed oats. So, and then everything else will be ready. So let's get going with this. First of all, I'm going to add the lye. So let's just add this in, and let's get making. So we're just going to add that in, and I'll move my lye container aside. I always put everything to one side once I've used it. That way I will just know. So now I'm just going to get the blender piece that goes on the top, and let's just blend this up. Now do remember, we are not putting a fragrance or essential oils, nothing in this. I'm just going to leave this one plain. So let's start blending. So now it is looking pretty beautiful. It is not ready yet, but we are just going to go and now add in our gorgeous coconut milk in here. This is actually a coconut cream I'm using. You can use coconut milk or coconut cream. Coconut cream is just a little bit thicker, and it does actually have a tiny bit of xanthan gum in the cream. So that's what that is. And you need to write that on your recipe as well. You know, like on your ingredients list. So let's blend this up, and then we'll add the oats in too. Now it will take longer to come to trace. That is the most important thing to remember. It will, because remember with this, you know, we don't have a fragrance or an essential oil that's going to sort of speed it up a bit, because it's usually the oils, the fragrance oils or essential oils that are going to make this super thick. It is a very light trace. So I'm just going to give it one more blend, and then we're going to add this in, and that's it. So now I can definitely see it has come to trace. Let's just take all that off. And for those of you that may not know what trace is, it's basically when you take this out and you wiggle it on top, you'll see a little line on top. And vegan soap generally does take longer to come to trace without, you know, fragrance or essential oils or something like that. I'm just going to flick that off and put it in there because I don't need that any longer. Now we're just going to add the oats in, and you can just stir these in by hand, shake them all in there. Now you could add more oats than I've added if you want to, but the thing to remember with things like oats, you know, you just don't want a bar that is too, like, it has too much exfoliating, because people won't like that. This just has a very light exfoliating as well. You can also add things such as walnut, like crushed walnut shells. One place that sells some really good exfoliating things is Aussie Soap Supplies. I'm not affiliated with them, I just buy their products, and I have actually bought from them in the past. And I have actually just ordered a while back. Well, I've ordered a couple of weeks ago, but after Christmas they're super busy, so I don't sort of bother them too much. But yeah, so I'm waiting for those, but that's okay. We'll just wait a bit longer. I am going to blend this a tiny bit more. It doesn't need it really, but there's a couple little chunks, so let me just do that. And the only reason there's the little chunks is because of this that I put in there. But anyway, I'll just blend it and then we're going to add it into here. Alright, it is looking beautiful, and as I said, it's not going to be super wide or anything. Now we've got our mold, so I'm just going to pour it in, and I will actually have to do what I did yesterday, put my little wood pieces on, because this, unfortunately, this particular mold, it bows out in the middle when it's full. So, which is a bit of a pain, but if you've got someone handy that can create something, my husband is actually going to create some special boxes that the molds will sit in, because I'm going to get probably another 5 of these so I can do a big batch in one go, because I am planning on ramping up my wholesale with my soap this year. This is going to take time, but anyway, that's my plan, my friends. Now let's just wipe this up, because I don't want to put all the other bits on it. We'll just wipe that down. You can see that the amount we've got fits this mold perfect, and it will give us, and then this mold here, I actually changed my recipe to 1,100 grams, and it's perfect. It fits right to the top. If you have a look, like exactly to the top. Give it a bit of a tap down, and I'm just going to put the little brace on it so that it solidifies straight. Now, I know this is not the soap-worthy beautifulness that we want to see, but let's be honest, you know, we just got to make this look beautiful, don't we? So rather than me getting stressed, I just went, no, I'm just going to put this on. You just make sure you don't clamp it too much, because you don't want it all funny in the center. But I'm just going to put this on, and that's pretty much it. I might just loosen this one off a weeny bit, just like that, and then it's going to be perfect. Now there is something we are going to do for this that I want to show you. I've actually created this little silicone piece. Now if you can see, it has a beautiful pattern. So if we add that silicone piece basically to there, what's going to happen is it's going to just create a really, really beautiful look. Now, the thing you have to be careful of is if I do this and then I start swirling over the top of this, what's going to happen is it's going to make that a bit ugly. So we want it to set up a tiny bit before I put that on. So I'm going to just get my little stick, or I can use this. It doesn't really matter, does it? And then, you know, you kind of want to create this first, because my idea is to create this, and then I'm going to put that on top, and then a little bit of oats here, but it's not set up totally. It's still fairly good, but I just want to set it up a weeny bit more. And don't worry about making it too beautiful. Like, you don't need to panic about it, you know, but it's going to look gorgeous. And then you leave this on overnight, and then the next day we'll take it off and I'll show you how gorgeous it will look. Now I'm going to use my special popsicle sticks. Don't they look cute? My daughter actually wrote my name on them, which I do love that, but I won't use that one in there, and that's because I had bath bombs. But in the future, I am going to discontinue the bath bombs. As much as I love making them, they're just not a big seller for me. I actually lose money on bath bombs. So I thought, look, I've got to be realistic here. You know, there's no good selling something that isn't working, is it? I mean, we all know this. It's just a fact of life. But anyway, so that's for that. But I'm going to leave this. I'll come back in about 10 minutes and check whether it is looking more ready for me to do the next bit. We are back, everybody. So it has been a few minutes, maybe about 10 or 15. It is still not super duper thick, but that's okay. And we're just going to give it a very slight little texture. And I've pushed the, you know, so if you're doing something like this, you want to push the soap from this side so that this side is higher and then the other side is a bit lower. And that all has to do with, because we want to put the silicone piece on that side, remember? So now that it's almost ready, basically you just want to get this silicone piece, and we just literally want to sit this in here. It's just going to sit like that, and just give it a, don't have to push it hard, just give it a tiny little tap so that it sits in there nicely, because we want all of this to, you know, this beautiful pattern to sit on it. And then on this side, we just want to slowly peak this up a little bit higher, but don't go over the silicone, otherwise, you know, it's going to be, sorry, I had to see if my camera was working. Then I was like, oh no, is it working? Did I forget? I was thinking I was going hopeless for a minute. Anyway, that will be enough for that, because remember, we do want to put the oats on this side now. So I'm just going to neaten all this off and just push everything back in there, because if you don't, it means I've got to clean this up later. So we've got that in there, haven't we? And I know my camera looks like it's wonky donkey sideways, but that's okay, we'll fix this. And then we're just going to just put a couple on here. Nothing too exciting, nothing too over the top. I don't really put that many on. Some of these will fall off anyhow, so it doesn't really matter, does it? But you want to make sure that each bit's going to have some on there. That'll do, I think. Put it in that little space. All right, that's it. I'm not going to touch this anymore, even though I'm tempted to do more. We won't. We'll leave it until tomorrow. We'll come back and see how it's going. Good morning, friends. We are going to be taking this out of here, and won't it be good when I've actually made something that holds this mold together just a little bit better. But it is the morning, and these new recipes that I've been doing definitely don't need as much time as my old one, and that just has to do with the less amount of water in them, which is something really good anyway, isn't it? So we're just going to give this little mold a little bit of a push up. So with these molds, it's pretty good. And of course, you know, you want to just tap off any excess of the oats or anything else that you're bringing out. So I can feel now that it's so with these kind of molds, what you can feel is it kind of a release of pressure. And then that's just when the air is not stuck. And then like underneath here, you can see there's like a little gap. So you can hold it like this. It will hold firm in these ones. You just got to give it a little push, and once it's slightly out, then you can just put your hand in and grab it. And it's quite, like I said, it's honestly quite hard, so I don't need to panic or anything. But let me just push it out a bit more. And now, if I used sodium lactate, as lots of you know, I've used that in the past. Sodium lactate will make it easy, come out of the mold much easier. Anyway, it is looking beautiful. Don't you love it? I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. We're just going to set that aside. As I said, I think the next one, I just want to build it up a tiny bit more on the edge. It's still fine. But anyway, that's kind of just what I personally think it would look good with. And I'm just going to throw these bits here out in the garbage. We don't need those tiny little bits of oats. there'll be nothing much in that. It looks beautiful. Now, one thing you can do is you can actually use like a peeler and just peel the edge straight away if you want, if you don't like these kind of rough edges. Personally, I just like pick them off a bit. This is all I do, is just, you know, kind of any rough edge, just sort of pick them off a bit. But I tried to keep it as natural as I can with soap. Even though we're trying to make it look nice, I still like it to be a bit natural. So, but doesn't that look lovely? I hope you can really see how gorgeous that pattern is. It's just really, really nice. And this is just, like I said, a nice soap that, you know, isn't going to, you know, doesn't have the scent and things like that for people that can't have that, because a lot of people react with different essential oils or fragrance oils. So but anyway, that's what it is, isn't it, my loves? So let's just get and cut this and make sure it's looking gorgeous. Now we are going to cut this. I have lined it up as per usual here, and let's just cut this. As I did say, this is not this is a splitting machine, not a cutting machine, but it is what it is at the moment. You know, I haven't got my you know, new wire for my soap cutter. Anyway, this is what it's going to look like when somebody gets it. Doesn't it look lovely? Of course, we'll bevel the edge, and then we're going to put my beautiful logo on it. So I'll see if I can show you the logo as well. This one feels quite hard because of the coconut butter, so I think I will be more than able to fix this just to show you what it's going to be like. So let's just cut the next one. And it is looking so nice. This one feels much harder than the last one. The coconut butter has definitely made it harder, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, also, if you've got things like this or rosebuds, make sure that the rosebuds are at the furthest part of the soap, so that then this bit is the plain bit, so that it's not dragging, if that makes sense. You just don't want something dragging back and forward. And when I say dragging, it means that if I cut this and then the first thing I went through was the oats, it'd have a big line drag mark through the soap. Not that it matters that much, but it might matter to you. It would matter to me. And then it's just very soft exfoliating in this lovely soap. There's nothing like a natural soap. Like I say this all the time, and you know what, my children, when they go to other people's houses, they're like, oh, I used their soap and it was horrible. And I just say to them, because they probably just use standard commercial soap. So isn't that interesting how even like my children notice a huge difference? The same as if you use avocado oil in your soap, you will notice a huge difference. It really does feel quite different using beautiful avocados. So that's something to think about too, isn't it? And yes, I said once again, it looks just lovely. Anyway, I will let you go, but I will bring you back in a minute and I will stamp it so that you can see what it's going to look like.